right, cool. So, welcome back to everyone to another gaming podcast, episode 23. How's everyone doing? Caboose, how are you doing, my man?
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, some busy times, obviously. You know, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League just launched. We're going to talk a bit about that here today, obviously.
Absolutely.
All of us, I imagine, or at least the majority of us here have had a chance to get our hands on it and put some hours in.
Yep.
But other than that, you know, just waiting for New Game Plus and Spider-Man 2, you know?
All right, we'll wait and see about
when's
that.
that going to come? Huh?
Yeah.
This has been dropped back in December.
I'm being nice and patient.
Steve Saylor, how are you doing? Are you still on location, Steve?
I'm still on location. I'm still dog sitting for my sister. Actually, I could probably
Cosplaying Riley setup.
Yeah, basically.
They're sitting across from each other.
Yeah. It kind of looks like you guys are in the same room. Like,
really
really.
does.
Yeah, it's like, wait, did I see Riley in that corner?
What if I
there?
actually was?
Maybe a little bit in the couch, but
That would
anyway,
be amazing.
Riley's on the couch. You're like, what are you doing, man? I'm right.
That would be an amazing 2-week bet. Just like not even acknowledging it just for that moment.
Riley, they're on to
Oh,
us.
yeah, I'll be right back, guys. Yeah, I come into his background.
Yeah.
Like,
Here, let me show you my dog. Wait, isn't that all? Wait, is that Riley's dog? Wait, what's happening?
What's going on
What's
here? Yeah.
going on?
Love it.
Oh my gosh. Steve V, how about you?
I'm good. I'm coming in real hot this week. A lot of stuff to talk about. Gamer stuff. Gamer nonsense going on. But no, I'm doing good. Otherwise, yeah, I'm excited to be here talking with all of y'all.
All right, Riley.
I'm doing well. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, and I think a lot more happening next week that we can discuss even further. So it's pretty exciting, honestly, being a gamer, or at least watching some of the stuff unfold.
Yeah.
And
Look at
Camille.
us gamers.
And look at us gamers here. Camille, how are you doing?
Doing gamer things.
Yeah?
Talking about gamer things. Look at us. Look at us. Who would have thought? I am doing good. It's going to be a hectic next couple weeks for Rainbow Six Siege. What?
Not even like 2 minutes
Keep
in.
talking. You're good.
2 minutes in.
Steve, he got you too?
They're in the same room. They're in the same room.
Oh no.
There we go. Fireworks.
You can't even give her 30 seconds of
I
her
know,
own spotlight.
30
Oh my
seconds,
gosh.
30 seconds.
Go ahead, Camille.
Honestly, just enjoying some downtime before it gets really busy.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna be talking about good old Suicide Squad. I know Caboose, you finished the game. I followed your whole walkthrough and everything, and I finished the game as well. Had anyone else complete the game in this lovely podcast
I finished the game, sort of.
Yeah.
I got as far as close. Well, I got as far as close to the end game, and then basically I just watched like the last mission from Caboose. That was it. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done. And then I'm like,
we all copied it.
Yeah.
Did you follow the objective of the game? Did you kill the Justice
yes,
League?
yeah.
Okay, then you're good. You're good.
Basically, I got as far where you had to where you're supposed to kill Brainiac, and I was done at that point. I'm like,
is hilarious.
Yes.
Oh my
I,
god.
I
Yes.
couldn't do it.
In all the bad ways.
Yes.
Because we'll talk about it, but I literally after the one kind of boss that you should be at the end, and then they're like, oh, and then there's all these other things to do, and I'm like, fuck that. I ain't doing it.
Now,
So I just basically just watched Caboose play it, and I was like, okay, I got the ending. There we
that's
go.
fair.
I'm done.
No, you made a good move there. You made a good move there.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Steve, Riley, Camille.
Yeah, so last week I put in my update that I played about an hour. This week I'm coming in and I'm still sitting at about an hour. But to be fair, this is more like a me problem than the game's inherent problem. I'm just not feeling it. Like I put in an hour, I was like, I get it. I'm just not in the right mindset for this kind of game, the looter kind of loop and everything. I want to go back to it eventually and give it like a fair shake. But I mean, at this point right now, it's just not my vibe. So I'm okay putting it down for right now.
Yeah.
I
that's
feel
okay. Go ahead, Camille.
Yeah, it's just.
I'm surprised, to be honest, that you weren't feeling the gameplay, because I know you play like Call of Duty. I know you're into shooters.
Oh, absolutely.
And
And
for me,
same
the
with
strongest part about it.
Same with like, Avengers and Division, like that whole like looter loop. I'm usually into, but right now in this specific, like I'm looking through like the majority of my games on both my Xbox and PlayStation. I'm like, something is just not clicking with me right now. I need a very specific game. So this is just like an umbrella thing. This isn't just Suicide Squad.
So it's not
Red
Alan Wake 2.
No,
so it's not
it's a
good.
red
Is that
chair
it?
to sit in.
It's Alan Wake 2, isn't
bar
it?
is set so high, and then I got destroyed by Avatar. Now I'm in this like limbo state where I'm just like floating around, not knowing what to do.
And it's definitely not party animals for you, right, Steve?
Right, exactly. Game of the year, my
Yes.
one
I mean,
pick.
How
yes.
can we ever reach that
No,
level?
no, we have the stats that proves it. You did not choose that as your game of the year, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
Wait, hold on. Real question, real life question. What are the odds that just because it's an ongoing game and there aren't a whole lot that aren't
Oh, here we
nominated
go.
every single year?
Here we go.
What are the odds
No.
that it'll be nominated at the Game Awards?
No.
Strictly because
Absolutely not.
it's a part of a small pool.
No.
Not this
Absolutely
year. Next year, let's talk.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can see that.
I don't
I'd
know.
say next year. Yeah.
Let's talk next year.
Interesting.
When,
Interesting.
say.
Interesting.
yeah, let's talk
I
next year
didn't,
when there's
I
a
didn't
whole
want to
like,
even
calendar
go down that.
content.
I didn't want to go down a timeline.
Depends.
I
I think it actually depends. If they were able to get out the first bit of content that they said the first season they're going to say, and then if they can put in another season by the end of this year, and both of them actually turn out to be good, I'd say potential for this
what
year.
What they said, and obviously this is different from what will probably actually happen, right? But what they said was that each season is meant to last, like any other live service game, 3 months. So season 1 with the Joker, new playable area, this and that and the other will be 3 months. Then we go into season 2, which is 3 months, and so on. They've mapped out at least up to season 4, which I think is year 1 of content. But considering the player count on Steam, considering the rumored sales numbers being lower than Guardians of the Galaxy as of right now, I don't see a long lifespan for this game, unfortunately. And it's seriously, it's such a bummer. Like I played the alpha, I got my hands on in LA, and I couldn't stop championing the gameplay. The gameplay is super fun. The traversal with all the characters is really fluid. It's very addicting for me to be flying around as Deadshot, zipping around as Captain Boomerang. Even Harley Quinn, I got kind of used to her traversal. I'm not feeling it 100% compared to the others, but yeah, the traversal there's something, right? And the gunplay is incredible, in my opinion. The shooting mechanics, the way you're chaining together your shield harvest, your melee, the counter shot system, all of that stuff flows really well for me. But man, the story in this game, right when you get from Act 2 onwards, completely falls apart. And I'm sorry, I waited 9 years to see what they were going to do after the events of Arkham Knight, and the story lasted less than 10 hours. That is insanity. Like, I know it's a live service game. I know the narrative is ongoing. I know there's going to be more added as time goes on. But at launch, after a 9-year wait, that's all I got.
See, I'm actually the exact opposite of you in terms of my thoughts on Suicide Squad. I hated the gameplay.
Oh, no.
I literally could not, like, at first I was like, when I was a couple hours in, I was like, okay, yeah, I understand what the gameplay loop is. I understand what they're having me try to be able to do, but I wasn't able to figure out a good flow. I wasn't able to figure out the traversal in an easy way. I was like, okay, but I'm going to keep playing, and hopefully maybe I'll just, eventually kind of get into that flow state of being like just chaining combos and stuff like that. But the variety of missions you get is like 4.
Next
there's
to
like
none.
There's like 4 different types of missions you can do, and they get so boring.
Missions carry into Endgame. It's the same missions in the Endgame.
Actually, at first you get like 3, and then there's one point in the story where you unlock a 4th, and then for the rest of the game, that's the only mission you basically do for the rest. Like you don't do really anything else.
Yeah.
And the traversal I found was absolutely like like if you're thinking of comparing this to like Arkham traversal or Spider-Man traversal, there's nothing like this. Does not even be in the same league as those two, because I could not handle the traversal at all. The only one that I could was King Shark, and it basically is because he has a big huge jump, and I was able to get into a flow of that. Every single other character I could not figure out. Harley was the worst.
Yeah, Harley.
Deadshot was probably my second to King Shark, because I was able to get an upgrade where I was able to get a little bit longer of a jetpack boost, and I actually thought that the story, that was what was keeping me going, because after it's minor spoilers, but I mean I think you kind of get it based on the fact that the title is Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. So after you kill your first member of the Justice League, I knew at that point, I'm like, yeah, it's not the greatest way for that hero to go out.
It's really,
I did not like the sort of how that was handled, but I was like, you know what? I'm turning my brain off. I'm like, okay, this is the world that we're in. We're killing the Justice League. That's what we're doing now. I don't care about continuity. I don't care about anything else. We're the Suicide Squad, and our mission is to kill the Justice League. And it wasn't because I wanted to. It was just like, okay, that's the commitment we're going with. I'm in. Let's go. And then everything else kind of just sort of fell into place. Do I agree with a lot of the decisions in the story? No. But to me, I think that I saw the character growth of a ragtag of villains turning into a team, which is kind of basically the whole premise of what the Suicide Squad does. And I actually kind of felt that as they were doing this, they were coming together as a team, and they were learning to kind of open up and be basically able to rely on each other, because they're the only ones that they have. Like everyone else is telling them, you're nothing, you're terrible, you're the absolute worst of the worst. What you don't eat, like to the point where even I think Batman tells them, you do not even matter. And to see them be able to overcome obstacle after obstacle, and then realizing, hey, we actually did this, we could actually pull this off. It to me, I was like, that was what was the compelling aspect of it, and that's what kind of got me in.
It was killing me. I got to be honest with you, especially because unfortunately, Steve, we will have to agree to disagree on this one.
Sure, that's fine.
Because the story, for me, they introduce interesting ideas for each member of the squad that can make for character arcs. Floyd Lawton, Deadshot, he wants to see his daughter. That's why he's so pissed off at Green Lantern. Green Lantern's the one that locked him up. Green Lantern's the one that made it so that he can't see his daughter again. That's all he really wants, right? Captain Boomerang is like, they all think he's just this useless alcoholic. Like, what's his purpose here other than just to be the Flash's villain, right? Harley Quinn doesn't want to seem like she was just second fiddle to the Joker. She doesn't want to seem like she was just a sidekick. And then, we got King Shark, who kind of just wants to be a part of something. He's been locked away in prison his entire life. He doesn't even know what the outside world is like, Mm-hmm. All of those make for what could have been interesting character arcs for each of the characters. But what it kind of boiled down to was they were like, no, yeah, we are villains. We are bad. We should just do this thing, right? Like we should just go after and hunt down and kill these heroes that we could otherwise try to be capturing and saving and removing the mind control, as they're the ones who usually deal with the world-ending threats. Why would the villains be the ones who want to be at the task of saving the world? And I know it's because they're forced to by Amanda Waller, but so much more I feel like could have been done here. There's a lot more substance we could have dug into for each of these characters that we just didn't. And it's really surprising considering how much lore, how much backstory, and how much characterization there is from all three Batman games, not just for Batman himself, but his supporting cast as well. Jim Gordon, even what they did with Oracle and Arkham Knight, the Arkham Knight himself, and the way that they did the Under the Red Hood storyline. It just didn't feel like these were the same people who put pen to paper for the last three Arkham games, now with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And it bums me out because I'm telling you, the first 3 or 4 chapters right up until that pivotal moment that you mentioned, Steve, I was in. I was like, this is hilarious. The cutscenes, the facial animations, obviously, everything in terms of presentation is really top notch. I would even say industry standard. And a lot of it I was really locked in for. But just at a certain moment, I realized that, yeah, they were going to do what the title of the game was, but in the most anticlimactic, unceremonious. And yeah, I would sort of agree with the internet and say that it was almost disrespectful.
It was all the same, to be honest. It was.
No. See,
do you think it's
Go ahead, Camille. Go ahead.
Hold on. You're not saying that it's. I know you're not saying that it was disrespectful to Kevin Conroy.
Yes.
That I do not agree with IGN's take on that.
I very much disagree with that article and that headline. I thought that was poorly written and in bad faith.
Yeah, because Kevin basically told the devs he wanted to do it. He loved doing it, and that was So he,
and he's having a blast.
He's having a blast. I agree.
In the role.
I agree with you, and I agree that basically that there were some character arcs that did not really get fleshed out as much as I want to. But the way I kind of feel like I disagree with in regards to how disrespectful it might have been to like the universe in that DC and Arkham is. I think that's kind of why I was able to enjoy it, because when I was able to turn this off, I was like, okay, this is not Arkham. This is not this is like, to me, I feel like that this is an Elseworlds story. Yes, they say that. So it's. I know that there are people that they're saying that it is in the Arkham universe. This is the Arkham Batman that we knew and love. And I'm like, that's where I'm gonna basically disagree and be like, no, this is an Elseworlds story, and that's kind of because here's the thing too. We know all about these heroes. We know it takes a lot to build to because we are used to stories where they overcome an unseen amount of odds in order to be able to survive and also to be able to save the day. And now this is the first time we as a player are having to be able to go up against them. And it may seem unceremoniously like basically all we're really doing is we're going to actually be able to use guns to shoot against Superman. You really think guns are going to be able to take out Superman?
That's not even inherently my issue. But continue, Steve.
Yeah.
I think it's because I think it feels empty, because it just feels like that we shouldn't have been able to be able to do that in the way that the gameplay warranted, because that was the real issue that I had, was that the gameplay is what set up the disrespectful sort of ending to these characters. Now, there was one idea that I thought that would have fixed all of this. And it was actually, I think, Greg Miller that actually said this in his review. He said, if this was Batman kills the Justice League, immediately I am in. I don't care. This is the game I want to play.
Tower of Babel, the game, sign me up for that.
Yes, I would be so in, and I don't you put this in the Arkham universe. Now I'm in, and we're gonna get the game that we would have wanted from Rocksteady.
Even if this was still the Suicide Squad game, and believe me, I love the LOV, all caps, love Wonder Woman's role in this game. I think she is fantastic design wise, and what she does.
She was great the entire time. Yeah. Incredible.
And I think they handled that character perfectly. But if they just swapped that role with Batman, I think I would have been 10 times more on board with the events of this game.
I think it in a sense it couldn't have worked, because then if Batman was the one who wasn't infected, then how could a Brainiac sort of taken over as much as he did? If he's the smartest person alive, how is Brainiac able to?
That's essentially what you're describing as the Batman Arkham game of him facing the Justice League, right? But now we're the third person perspective. We're just the Suicide Squad. We're just these nobodies, and there's Batman taking on the Justice League. How the hell do we even step into all this mess?
But
and
I feel like
that
that's the whole thing with the debate around this game and how the story is done. If the story was well done from start to finish, even with that choice, not having Batman a part of that, but it was something really surprising, that wouldn't be the discussion right now. It's only the discussion because it falls flat.
Yes.
Right? I think if you have a good enough story, you're able to convince a fan base that is so dedicated to this franchise that it makes sense for these characters. And that's just because this is not a well thought out story, right? No matter how you spin it.
No, I don't think it's actually not. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's because it really didn't know if it was supposed to focus on story or continue this content that will come out as live service. And I think that is the biggest hurdle for this game.
I think
it just didn't know how to balance the two.
I think that's inherently kind of the thing that makes it such a bummer for me is that this game didn't feel like it was made for me, you know, and I'm a diehard Arkham fan. My whole career pretty much exists because of Arkham. And so like going into this, it felt like, this wasn't what diehard Arkham fans were hoping for. You know, this wasn't the
set
continuation.
Up that expectation, right?
Here's the thing.
I honestly just think this game didn't need to be in the Arkham verse at all.
That's the thing.
It didn't need. It didn't.
Yeah.
It could have just been a regular Batman game. If Kevin wanted to play the role, he could have played the role. But this game has no identity whatsoever.
They do it all the time with all the same actors, and I think in a sense, like this is where I think that it was the gameplay that failed the Rocksteady team. The fact that they were stuck in the loop of using this games of service type game and then the looter shooter type gameplay. That is why the story doesn't fit with everybody. I mean, I was able to get into it because of what we had. Like, okay, you know what? I'm in. There's some great moments in here. I think Rocksteady. Like, here's the thing: Rocksteady did the absolute best with what they could.
100%.
I will admit,
100%.
their gameplay is smooth. There's zero bugs. There's nothing in the game that just does not work. It's just the actual design of choice of making it a looter shooter and making it a games as a service is what failed this entire game. I think if it wasn't for that, the story would be the thing that pretty much everyone would be talking about, being like, the story's so good, even if they decided to have Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, because I think that Rocksteady could have really, really made that work. But that's why I say, like, every single boss fight you go into, the ending feels flat because you're just basically just pumping bullets into every single Justice League member, and then you have like one sort of counterattack.
The Green Lantern.
That was my least favorite one, actually.
Really,
I did not like that one at all.
At least I felt it serviced the character. It made sense for the world, and it actually, in terms of the weakness that we were to bring to the table to take him down.
Yeah.
Also, like all of that kind of was like, okay, I think I am suspending my disbelief enough for this to make sense as a thing that could happen in the DC lore. Yeah. Superman. I'm sorry.
That was.
I'm sorry.
That is the worst fight that I ever did.
That was really bad.
Awful. It is awful, and I am so sorry. Just like again, I understand that you're on the sticks. You're playing as a Suicide Squad, right? Inherently, in any game you ever play, the character you play as has plot armor. It's a video game. Mm-hmm. The idea is that the character you're playing as will not die, right? You have to play them throughout till the end of the game, unless you're Red Dead Redemption switching over to Jack Morrison, right?
Which could have been an interesting idea. Basically, it's like if one of them died, then basically like you can't choose that character anymore.
At the beginning of the game where you're playing as one, like similar to the movie, you're playing as one team and then they all just get wiped out immediately, just to set up the stakes, right? Like that could have been fun. But yeah, so like there's I get it. Like the characters are gonna have plot armors. So there's gonna be instances where it's like there's just no way they should have survived the situation. But like, I'm sorry, Superman's whole thing when he shows up is that he still swoops in at like breaking the sound barrier. Okay.
Yeah.
And he stands over and looks at the Suicide Squad. And I'm just thinking, this dude in his mind as evil Superman has probably 16 million ways that he can completely
100%.
eviscerate the squad like that. And instead they're just all good. Like,
would it have helped?
They're not even worried
with what Wonder Woman did to him. Would it have helped that was still affecting him in that fight? Okay,
exactly.
Like just keep it.
Yes.
Okay,
just something where it's like he is gravely
something.
You know,
he should have been gravely injured to the point where that you could hurt him. And honestly, that was my big after that fight was done, and then you were kind of like, okay, now you got to kill Brainiac. I'm like, fuck that! No, I'm not doing it. Like it felt
out.
so.
Oh no, you gotta do 3 missions before you kill Brainiac. By the way,
3 missions, but that's
you need to collect enough P-points or whatever
I just have to, because I'm in full on rant mode. Steve V, you plug your ears if you'd like to, if you don't want the spoilers. The Brainiac boss fight is not.
Oh,
It's terrible. It's
not
terrible. Brainiac.
It's not
Terrible.
Brainiac.
No,
They
no.
do the Flash fight again.
It's literally the sit first fight all over again. Yeah.
See, that was because and that's the thing when you have that fight or like the after the Superman fight, and then you're told, oh, there's like I don't care about spoilers at this point. Like if you got this far, I'm sorry.
We're this far, honestly.
There's so much online at this point already.
They basically were like, okay, now you need to kill 13 other Brainiacs. And here's the thing: they did not set up that this is like you're going to end credits at any given time. Like you're basically meant to believe that. Are you serious? I have
I'm
to
not
now
even done
kill
yet.
13 other Brainiacs in order to be able to finish this damn game.
And we certainly know that a chunk of those are just going to be reskins of the fights that you already had as against the Justice League throughout the game, considering what they did for the finale of this. Like, I'm sorry, okay, if all else failed, okay, if you didn't love the story, if the gameplay wasn't working for you at the end, it's a looter shooter, right? Or it's a live service at the end of the day, right? The whole idea here is that you're going to beat this game and they're going to present to you an idea that says, this is why you're coming back for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
It is not compelling to me. It is not enough of a reason for me to come back for them to say, the reason why we want you playing this game for years is to just fight the same guy over and over.
That is the one thing that I think that was like ultimately disrespectful to the player in the sense is like you built up to this whole thing where you're basically working your way up to Brainiac, which is supposed to be the ultimate bad guy. And then you save basically that whole aspect of the game to the end game that's your games of service is that now you're having to be able to fight Brainiac, which basically makes the Brainiac like more powerful than the Justice League itself. Like that is, I think, is a complete because it makes you think it's like, so what was the point of me? Like, couldn't I just jump to Brainiac? Like, why did I have to kill the Justice League in order to be able to do that? Like, it made that was insanity. My main issue with it.
I mean, imagine there's so many DC villains that they could have built up, and especially considering that the whole game's premise is that the Justice League are out of commission. That could send a signal waves through the universe for the Sinestro Corps to be like, we're going to get involved. We're taking over the planet. For Darkseid to be like, now's my time, Like,
you know what? Even if they were like, they at the end of it, like, okay, after the Superman fight, and then they were like, okay, now we need to take out Brainiac, but the Suicide Task Force X is not enough. And then they leave it as the cliffhanger of the game that they were like, we're breaking everyone out of Arkham, we're breaking everyone out of Belle Reve, and now all of us are going after Brainiac.
Right.
That would have been like, damn, they did it. I'm all in. Because then that sets up the entire end game of like, okay, now we get the Joker. Now we can be able to have Scarecrow, Riddler, like proper Riddler. We can have all the other people from the Suicide Squad before, like every single like rogues gallery from DC.
Peacemaker, if you wanted
that's
to.
What Peacemaker, if you wanted to add that. Yes, 100%. That would have been like, now I'm interested in all the games of service. But no, now you're basically like villain of the week, and you're basically having to take out like just the iterations of Brainiac with just the four of you. I'm like, fuck that. No,
it's insane.
Do you think this is kind of just a game? They were like, man, we teased this for so long. Like, I think it was teased in 2010. Apparently,
no.
That they were 2010. They teased that they were working on a game inspired by the Suicide Squad, right? And then, so like
Origins does set up in the post-credit scene that they were doing a Suicide Squad thing, right?
I know that, but I mean, if they're able to tease it in 2010, that means it's been in concept. The team's developing it, they're working on it, and because of the pivot of how the whole DC universe and how video games will be integrated in that, they're like, we kind of need to just release this game and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do wonder if it feels like such a cataclysmic bummer only because we had those like 9 years of just eagerly waiting, like what's Rocksteady going to do? Are they going to deliver? Let's get more into this universe. I do wonder just inherently if, say, I don't know, 4 years after Arkham Knight, we got Batman Beyond or some sort of like interstitial game or something, and then we got Suicide Squad. It could have just been like, well, chalk it up to this risk didn't work out. Let's move on to the next thing. But now it feels like now it's 9 years.
Yeah.
How long am I going to have to wait until I get something that Caboose, to your point, feels like something that speaks to me, the Arkham fan, the fan that wants like the single player oriented game, just like a focused, go back to Arkham or anything. Like now it just seems like it's so far removed that everyone's just kind of disappointed because it wasn't what they wanted. And in a world where game studios aren't really allowed to make risks anymore because again, it takes 9 years or like even 5 years on a good cycle to come up with a game, deliver it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's just such a big bummer for a studio like Rocksteady to go out, make this risk, and now kind of have to go hand in hand to be like, well, we are going to support this for a year, maybe 2 years, and then who knows when the main team is going to be able to go on to the next project, and then everyone else that's doing the supporting role are going to be able to transition over and kind of sunset Suicide Squad.
I'm kind of curious.
It's a long process.
And Steve and Riley, you haven't talked much, so I guess I'll ask you. What do you think this discredits Rocksteady and obviously Caboose, in the eyes of what they can deliver? Because it just seems like, is this only solely just off, maybe higher pressure saying it has to be game of the service and being introduced maybe later on in development, or is what they set as the foundation, those first few chapters that Caboose talked about, enough to be they still get the fans, they still could deliver an Arkham level game?
I think my read on it is that just based on the reception, because I actually enjoyed, to Caboose's point, I actually enjoyed the gameplay. It reminded me of Crackdown, which I love Crackdown. So I was like, okay, I'm super into this. And the styles changed a bit as you changed the characters, which was fun. Better story than Crackdown. So there's a plus there.
Bar's real low though.
Which Crackdown are you talking about? Yeah, they all kind of.
All of them.
Yeah, whichever one you want. Yeah.
1 through 3.
Sure.
But I don't think it discredits Rocksteady. To your question, no. I think Rocksteady is an incredibly talented team. They've made some of the best first solo games I've ever played. I think it just discredits the model. I think that this was pushed to them, to be honest. I think they were told that, no, this is what's going to make money. This is how we make money long term on this game. And I think that it's just a bad model for that type of game. It just wasn't what it needed to be. And I think I really hope, and I think that we're starting to see a transition now, because I get tired when gaming companies get caught on buzzwords or these ideas. We need a battle royale, or we need games as a service, or this is how you make money. And then they push this thing that is this isn't really you didn't do it right. You didn't even try really. That, not that they didn't try, but just they got kind of hand-fisted in this model that I don't think really fit the game they were making. So I feel for the team that maybe they didn't get to do what they wanted, you know, and I hope maybe they get to return to that.
This is a long list, a long line of games that need to serve as lessons that this is just not the future of gaming.
Yeah,
I think these live service games are going to have a big part of our future. Of course, Fortnite, Warzone, and so on, Destiny, right? But it is not the future. There cannot be 100 live service games. They require too much of your attention. They require too much of your time, and too many people want to play a variety of games. Too many people want things like Xbox Game Pass, where they can play 10 different games, where they can go through a catalog of things that they want to try out. So this model is not sustainable if they want, if the big, suits up head or up at the top, if this is what they want to be the future, everything will come crashing down.
Yeah,
I think it also has to be. Sorry, go ahead, Riley.
I was just gonna say to that point. I mean, we saw with PlayStation, they canceled half of their live services.
Yeah.
It's just you can't be doing that. You can't be sitting there going, well, they're doing it, so we got to do it. That's not a reason to do something. That's I don't think that's a reason to do something.
Yeah. Apparently, a lot of executives think that. But I'm curious, Marcel, because you spent some time with this game as well. How did you feel?
For me, even to give this game a number, I gave this game a 6 out of 10. There's something that Rocksteady, you can tell Rocksteady does care about the whole DC universe. Like this, how the game, like visually, the game is like this is one of the most impressive games I've ever seen. And for anyone to say this game looks bad, like you're on a whole, like just go to the moon or something. You're not from this world. I don't know.
You're hanging with
I don't know where. Yeah, you're hanging with Brainiac because even the facial expressions, I was like, holy crap!
yeah.
Like the
Industry
wrinkles and
standard,
everything,
man,
like outstanding. Like of course, when like down the road, there's no one there. It's really dull and everything. But like for me, I found the gameplay was just the same thing, and I feel like this game had like no identity. Like it took like for me, I reached like the like you like against the Flash. It's 6 hours in, like I mentioned on the last podcast, and then that's when you start seeing variations of enemies. But it was just like they didn't really do what they were supposed to do. Like there must be variants of Flash now because now you got rid of Flash. Okay, well now the enemies will become Flash variants, and they just zip to the building and then they're like, well, I'm gassed. Just shoot me now. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like, do something else. Like, what are you doing?
Zipped to a building and now I'm the same 3 enemy types that you actually fight normally.
No, exactly. And like for me, I found the strong points with this game. Like, I did enjoy the story. I was in it for the story and everything. And Wonder Woman, like, I'm glad, like, you know, like she had a moment, like, you know, she was trying to fight everyone else. I kind of do wish Batman and Wonder Woman was kind of like maybe like Batman slowly gets captured in a way, but like at least give him like a fighting chance. It was just kind of those, just one of them. I guess with the Flash on top of that, but you just see the Flash zip away, and then he's like, "Well, guess what? I'm back, and I'm evil. Let's go." You know, type of thing. I'm like, "How the hell did that happen?" You know, like what are you even talking about? But for me, the strong points was the Batman experience, and I feel like that's like Rocksteady's like tribute to Batman. Where
you can see,
I was gonna say like with like everything that like. You played as Batman and you were going after the criminals, and now like Batman's doing that to you. I was like, this is sick. This is awesome. I didn't even see really like cool. The whole like the spray gas, the liquid gas. I was like, what? Like you step on it, you're like, holy crap! Like I'm being targeted by Batman. Even the whole asylum museum of you can retrace everything you missed as well. Like and I was going to mention that if like. Throughout, like you hear Batman's like, "Oh, I'm always watching you" and everything. He's not joking. There was one time I was swinging and I was like, "Wait a minute, who's that?" And I got close to him. You see Batman just like poof away. I'm like, "Holy crap!" He's literally like watching me the whole time, like just randomly. Yeah, like it's really it's stuff like that. I kind of like. So.
The fact that he was also using basically the same things you would use in Arkham, like the base of the explosive gel, and you basically have to shoot it in order to be able to like not get hit by it. I'm like, that was like the Batman experience.
The Batman experience is strong in this game.
So great. Like basically the 2 times you had that, like you basically fight yourself against Batman. Like it's really great. I think in a sense, in a broader like because there was one moment that I was in the story, and that's why I caught the premise of like this is it, and it was a very like subtle moment, and it was a very kind of like in a way like a gut-wrenching moment. It was when Wonder Woman is lassoing the Flash. This is like when he's already kind of like evil,
incredible,
and then basically like Diana's like, how do I stop you? And then Flash goes, you have to kill us, Diana. And I was like, you could see almost the tears swirling up in like in his eyes. And I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is the end game. Like if this was stories like this is how the Justice League ends, kind of like how Arkham Knight was like this is when the Batman dies. Like I would have been like, yeah, okay, this is it. This is this like that's why I was kind of like more invested in the story, I think, than not. And I think that it was the gameplay that kind of ruined a little bit of that relationship. But this is also it kind of bring it to accessibility in a sense. Like this is a proof of more proof about how great accessibility can be when you add it to, like when you have that as part of the design phase of the game, because the thing that ruined the entire, like basically the kind of changed the entire game was the design decision of it being a looter shooter and it being a games of service, and then the decision of it was the Suicide Squad killing the Justice League, because it was those 2 decisions that the developers of Rocksteady had to basically be like, okay, we got to make this work. This is the best we can be able to do. And a lot of it was basically kind of Band-Aid solutions to try to be able to make those 2 design decisions work. And the same thing with accessibility. It's like if you make decisions in the design phase that are basically like, you have to make it work, every bit of accessibility you can add on to fix that is just a Band-Aid. And so this is like the ultimate proof of like, you have to think about how everyone wants to be able to play this. And I'm sorry, like I did not like the idea of having to be able to shoot as powerful of guns as possible to take out Superman when you're constantly seeing him basically bounce bullets off of his freaking eyeball? Like, it's just, it doesn't make sense.
Hold on, so Steve, okay, like I know we could talk probably about this
Yes,
forever,
sorry, yeah.
But and we do have another thing, maybe a couple things to talk about. But I like for those that finished it, would you recommend yes or no? One sentence, why?
No. That's
no.
I listen, if you like looter shooters, there's like a little bit of meat on the bone, you know, like if you're into the build crafting, into the RPG stuff, surprisingly, there's quite a bit of depth. But if you like Arkham games, not for you.
This is a Black Friday sale game. Like,
if you want, you want like a live service game that is gonna that's gonna get 100 hours out of you and that you're gonna keep coming back to with each and every content drop, probably not for you. This is one of those games where, I mean, like Marcel was just saying, like, just wait until all the DLC is out. Wait until it is this full, complete package. That way you play through what is a 10-hour main campaign, and then you have like an additional 5 to 10 hours of post-launch stuff that you can jump into, and a whole bunch of playable characters and new zones that you can check out and stuff. It is right now. It is not. It is not worth the $70. It's not worth the $100 for that deluxe edition, especially since the servers didn't work on day one.
Ooh.
Granted, for people in New Zealand, but I mean, still, you know.
Who lives in New Zealand anyway? No, I'm kidding.
So I wouldn't recommend
just
it.
very quickly, that's another thing. Like, if they decide to like do the whole Avengers shut this thing down, even if you have the physical discs, it's pretty much obsolete as well. Like, they have to re-release this game with that patch, or if the game will not work.
That's a whole nother discussion we should get.
That
like,
will,
we need to talk about that.
I think too, the fortunate thing is Warner Brothers actually owns Rocksteady, so they don't have to pay a licensing fee, so it may actually extend the life of the game. But I don't know, like licensed music and stuff can play a role in that. So I don't really know how long they have.
So Marcel, recommend or no?
I would say wait for a sale. That's what I would say. Like, I give it a 6 out of 10. It's not a broken game. It's still like there's still something for you to do, and but wait, save your money, wait for a sale. But I want to add, this is probably like my favorite Wonder Woman like rendition of her, like the look of her and everything. I was like, I like this look around, like everything is pretty,
she was
pretty
dope.
cool. She's pretty
Steve?
dope. So
Really cool.
Based on just the game itself, I would be same as like Marcel, like wait for a sale, and then I'd give it like maybe like a 6 out of 10. For accessibility, I'm doing my review that'll be out again this Friday, but I'll just say here I'm giving it a 2 out of 5. It is terrible as far as accessibility is concerned, so it's definitely not a recommend for me.
Riley?
I need to play more of it, so I'll hold off on a score. But I am enjoying what I'm playing of it, and I do like the story, and the gameplays grab me because I like the grind a bit, and I find that I'm actually enjoying my time in the story and everything. So I'm enjoying it. I think I need to hold off before I give an official score, but
10 out of 10 from Riley.
About it made me more interested to play the game than everything I've been like hearing about the game, like just in the industry. And I think that's why I was turned off from like jumping back and giving more than a couple hours to the game. So I'm actually curious, and Steve, I don't know if you feel the same, like after hearing like what they liked, like the Wonder Woman stuff, the Batman experience, like that kind of makes me more curious. And like,
but you like Amanda Waller as well,
go back
so
to a couple
I don't know.
Yeah, you love Amanda Waller.
Yeah, you think Amanda Waller?
She's Waller.
I can
Waller
that
out
right now. I'm not going back to this game anytime soon. I mean, again,
you're all in on Foam Stars.
Foam Stars.
Foam Stars all the way.
Baby.
Available today, folks.
Foaming at the mouth to play tonight.
Yeah.
Oh no!
It's a game as a service.
Available today, folks. All right, well, we're going to be moving on to topic number 2 here, which is an article that dropped by Xbox Era. Microsoft is planning to release Starfield on PS5. Microsoft said that to be planning a launch of Starfield on PlayStation 5 post the release of the already announced Shattered Space expansion for Xbox and PC. But then also, a good industry friend Jeff Grubb later came out and said that Xbox is talking about bringing Gears of War to other platforms as well. And then this has started a whole uproar upward. Besides, we want Cody and Boo the Rock, and it's going on Twitter right now.
The wrestling fans know. Yeah.
Right in the middle is our good fan Philly S. Phil Spencer. We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update for next week. We look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned. This is kind of shocking. He's saying that, we've been planning a business thing when we just had your own event. Why didn't you just mention something here? But you know what, Riley, would you like to take it away, sir?
Yeah, what an interesting week. I think that like a lot of what's going on. Sorry, the sun is right in my eyes now.
It's perfect.
A lot of what's going on, I think, has been writing on the wall for a very long time. Personally, it's something I thought that they were going to do for a very long time. They are pushing games as a service majorly with some of their titles. Sea of Thieves being a major one that I think would benefit hugely from these sorts of transitions. Hi-Fi Rush is another game that I think did what it did on Game Pass, and I think it's run its course there. And so releasing it on other platforms makes sense. Starfield was an interesting one, moved the needle for a while, but now it's not anymore for them. So like these things, and especially Starfield, which is an incredibly expensive title to make. I think it took 7 years to develop. They want to recoup some of the costs, and I think that's. I don't find that surprising, and I don't think it diminishes the Xbox ecosystem. If anything, I think it elevates it because it better conveys the value. It's like I can spend $100 on Starfield for PS5 if it is coming out there, or I can pay $10 a month and play it on Game Pass, and then play this other game and play this other game and play this. So these things, I think it's smart. Is my take on it. I have other thoughts, but I'll let everyone else chime in as well.
I don't disagree with you whatsoever. Basically, what I disagree with is how the internet is just handling all of this conjecture without any kind of official context. To Marcel's point, my read on it is that there was always supposed to be like a business, like hands-on thing, speaking to the audience. Xbox is notably very transparent with the online audience as a whole. It just so happens that all of this stuff leaked out all at once. Like I was sitting here yesterday laughing at my desk about like headline after headline, like the Jeff Grubb thing, the Verge, the Xbox era. I was like, there's no way this is real.
I think everyone needs to follow you on Twitter/X because that your checkpoints were some of the funniest I've seen. I was laughing at
well, thank you, because like I just feel like 75% of this whole thing has just been cataclysmically embarrassing, just on all fronts.
Cartoonish is the word I would use.
It's like, to be honest, it's absolutely shameful that people are going into like Sarah Bond's comments, Phil Spencer's, and just like saying the most like radically upsetting things over a piece of hardware. And then you have, the diehard, I bleed green, brother. I'm here with my Xbox tattoos. And it's like, be an adult. Like, remember that you are 30, probably 40 years old. Be an adult. Like, that's all you got to do. Look at yourself in the mirror and just say, like, is my life of any value other than a piece of hardware? Because I was getting secondhand embarrassment of some of these people, and Riley knows exactly what I'm talking about. There were people doing like spaces and putting out videos that sounded like they did like two tours in Afghanistan and just saw their families for the first time. It was absolutely hysterical. Now, that all being said, I don't have any sympathy for Xbox in this circumstance because I do feel like they set themselves up for this.
They waited too long.
Way too long. Like, ever since.
Way too long. And if
way too long to respond?
No, I'm saying
long to
address it.
Like,
ever since the acquisition
ahead of this.
Ever since the acquisition of Bethesda, every single person who has an Xbox console is an analyst, is a journalist, had the same question. What does this mean for exclusivity? And Phil Spencer, Aaron Greenberg, Jeff, like everyone on the team kept saying, well, it's a case-by-case basis. We're not going to really address this.
I honestly don't think they knew.
That's an issue. That's a huge issue to me.
You don't buy something for so much money and be like, we don't know what's going on.
Hold on.
I think you could have a plan, but it has to go through approvals. You're dealing with different entities that are merging together, right? Like, I don't
disagree. I don't disagree, but it's the kicking of the can, and now the acquisition of Bethesda came years ago, and now we went through the FTC. We went through everyone to get to the Activision Blizzard acquisition. And now we're months removed from that one, and we still don't have definitive answers. Even with the Starfield, I'm sorry, Sarah Bond, Aaron Greenberg went on record to say Starfield is not a timed exclusive. It is an exclusive. They have been on record. So if you're on the leadership team saying this kind of stuff, and now this news breaks out, which I totally think that it's real. I don't think that this is just some sort of like conjecture.
Phil responding it means it's real.
Exactly. And I think that speaks so much volume to the leadership, to the plan. Like Riley's point here, I totally agree with. This has been writing in the stone. But if that was the intended plan years ago, they should have outlined that for the fans 100%.
So here's my particular thoughts on it, because I was technically part of one of those acquisitions by working with Raven and being moved into ABK. The thing of like they should have figured this out years ago, legally and literally, Xbox couldn't have done anything with Bethesda or Activision until literally the deal was closed. Yeah. This entire time that basically the whole the FTC and the court cases with ABK.
Bethesda?
With like both, because legally they were not allowed to, the teams were not allowed to talk to each other
prior to
the closing day. Like that's why literally I couldn't even talk to legally couldn't talk to Xbox if I wanted accessibility help for Raven until the deal was closed. And so the fact that they and I think the way that probably what happened is, and again, I'm saying this, I'm not a Microsoft apologist, I'm not an Xbox apologist, I'm just saying based on kind of like my own sort of knowledge into this, and then also a little bit of the context that I'm seeing, is that okay, they probably looked at, okay, finally, we could work with Bethesda. All right, what do we got? We got Starfield, we got Redfall, we've got some stuff from Tango coming up. All right, well, let's get these out the door, and then we'll just, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we kind of go. And then they saw it, and they're like, okay, you know what? We've got Bethesda's already got a working relationship and a workflow to make their games multi-platform. Let's focus in on that. Let's do that, because if you think about it, other than Sea of Thieves and then potentially Gears, if you look at the ones that are specifically they're coming to PS5, they're all Bethesda games, which have been multi-platform since the get-go. So to me, I think them saying that it's on a case-by-case basis makes sense, because Bethesda's technically also not officially Xbox. It's still its own company, just owned by Xbox.
Yes.
Bethesda ZeniMax is its own unit. It's its own thing. They have an oversight with Xbox, yes, but they are still responsible. Bethesda's still responsible. Technically, ZeniMax is still responsible for their own company, at least as of currently right now. So to me, them saying that, yes, they these games, I would say that probably at one point Xbox's plans these are going to be exclusive. This will help build our platform. And then once these games came out and they're like, okay, this is not hitting on the benchmarks that we wanted. Let's talk about the idea of making it multi-platform.
My gut check is Starfield expedited some of these plans. Yeah, because I think it came out and it did okay. Yeah. But I think when you have a game like a subscription service like Game Pass, Starfield's a really great draw to it, and it landed well. Mm-hmm. It didn't win Game of the Year, but it was a tough year. There were a lot of really great games. It's good for a month. That is a month of Game Pass. Right. You need something hitting every month. That is what subscription services do.
I think it's Starfield. People were hoping that it was going to be a console seller, but in a sense, it's a better Game Pass seller than it is a console seller.
But I don't think that's what they expected. They've made it very clear that they were in the business of selling Game Pass, right? That is their primary focus. The consoles were secondary. I think because Starfield, it is a very tough year. It was a very tough year in terms of competition because there was a lot of good games, like Riley pointed out. because Starfield just didn't have the pull to necessarily keep people on Game Pass.
I think if it was last year, it would have been nominated for Game of the Year. I think that's probably the reality of that.
But I think in terms of, and like, Steve, this is why I was getting, like a little bit worked up with you, because I think they really had no option. They couldn't have talked about it during the acquisition. They need time once the closing date hits to really lay out the plans with all the teams. They're dealing with internal stuff. And I'm not like, I think they could have handled it much better. I think it made sense, knowing the kind of losses that they had with some of their releases, to kind of hold back on this news until it was like verified. No nudes here. Until it was like verified. And then like also like we look at their marketing and comm strategy. They have really focused on, okay, what is coming in the next year? What do we know are we going to deliver on? I think they were still gathering this plan, and they probably have that solidified now. And that's why I think when this tea came out about what's happening at Xbox, they should have responded immediately. I think they waited way too long and let that sit.
We still haven't heard about Hi-Fi Rush at all yet.
But just a bit of context.
Old news now,
for sure.
It is. It's kind of almost seen as fact. Like it's like, oh yeah, no, it's 100% going to happen. And Xbox hasn't said a thing. I agree with you, Camille. Like they should, if when this sort of started, like this, like a Hi-Fi Rush might be going to Nintendo Switch or PS5. They should have said, it's coming. We'll explain more soon. But instead, they waited almost over a month before, and then now it's gone worse. Where now there's more stories that are potentially of games, and the only response that they have is feels like, we hear you. We'll talk more next week. That's a little too late.
And it's very vague.
A little too vague.
And that's kind of
your point. What were you saying, sir?
That's kind of my point. And
I'm just gonna pause you there for 1 second. I know Caboose has to bounce, so I don't know. You want to give you a spotlight? You want to say it was going next week?
The only thing that I wanted to chime in regards
I'll go back
to
to you, Steve. Sorry.
It's just that like the only thing that we should be worried about here is if that we see a universe or a future where Xbox goes full third party, what that could potentially do in terms of passing the power over to PlayStation. In a sense, like competition and exclusives and a reason for you to be like, no, I'm Xbox all the way, is important for the overall like ecosystem of gaming. And we don't want to be in a position where PlayStation has all the powers, they've got all the chips, on their side for them to say, okay,
they still don't got that streaming down. And like if Xbox
maybe not
becomes like that, I'm not in the monopoly business.
I know it's not necessarily like it'd be set in stone, but that would it would pass a lot of power into PlayStation's hands. Now, granted, Xbox could be still a leader in streaming and cloud gaming, and who knows where that could be going 10 plus years from now. But it's just, if we're talking about right now, if we're looking at face value, that is the only thing that I'd be worried about, is because PlayStation is already dominating so much. They've been crushing the competition in terms of just specifically Xbox since the PS4, Xbox One generation. And Xbox hasn't really come close to that level of success since. And it looked like they were ready to start hitting hard. They got Bethesda. Okay. Yeah. The next Doom could be an Xbox exclusive. The next Elder Scrolls could be an Xbox exclusive, right? Now they're going to have Blade coming out. That's under Bethesda. A Marvel game. That's an Xbox exclusive, right? So those things started to create a good outlook for the future of Xbox, and to create even more reason for people to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to get an Xbox. Or at the very least, now I got Game Pass on my PC, and I'm jumping into the subscription service, and I'm giving more to this brand, right? But if they just say, you know what? No, actually, all of this stuff is going to be available on PlayStation as well. It's not going to create enough of that drive. It's not going to create enough of that competitive nature that you kind of need. And so I don't know. I don't know what it could do for the future. I don't want to assume. We don't know really. It's just, that's my only worry.
Yeah, my only I totally see where that's coming from.
With that, I assume everybody agrees, and there's no issues here. So we're not gonna.
You solved it. You solved it, Caboose.
That's it. Done. I finished.
Save the day.
Phil,
save the day.
Get on the podcast.
Couldn't save the Justice League, but you saved Xbox.
I got to run on that. It was great chatting with you guys, though, and I look forward to listening to the rest of the episode and seeing what the rest of the discussion is around this topic. All right. Peace out, guys. Man. Much love.
See you, bud.
Bye.
Yeah.
I think. Sorry, go ahead, Riley.
And then we're going to go to Steve right after that, too. So,
yeah,
of course.
Just on that note, I think that Xbox may be taking this step now, but they're not going to be the last to do it. Like, This is the step. They've always been gearing up for this step.
Yeah.
They always wanted their software to be playable everywhere. They've said it 100 times. To the point where they have Nintendo Switch consoles in the back of their presentations and on Phil Spencer's shelf. Like, these were things that they've always been gearing up for. I think PlayStation will hit that milestone. They're all reporting their games to PC. I think even Nintendo will go there eventually. Like, these things, like, that's just the way the industry is going.
Don't talk crazy.
Whoa. Let's cool it down a little bit here.
But if you can get your IP everywhere, which is the goal now, you can grow it meaningfully. And I think that if you can keep it within your ecosystem, which is going to be the goal for all of these companies moving forward, if they can expand the box that it's played on, doesn't matter.
Right.
And I think that's the end game for all of them. But
yeah,
yes,
I totally agree.
You're owed.
No. I just wanted to quickly circle back because I do feel like it's important to talk about like the timeline of their messaging, because like we talked about, like, oh, they couldn't talk about anything until the ink on the deal was dried and everything. To bring a little bit of context, Microsoft and Bethesda's deal ended in 2021. We sat through the Game Awards, watched the Blade trailer, and there wasn't a logo there. And everyone was like, can you please explain that? And they're like, no. And we just accepted that as like, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
But I don't think that's the right time. Like, you're not gonna go on the heels of a trailer like that, and you know that there's talks within the company to potentially have games. We don't know which games. They probably don't even have a decision on Blade, to tell you the truth, because they haven't even really saw that game in like a full development. Like, there's probably not like a demo available for their team to even play of the game. You know, like, I don't feel like that's the appropriate point. And timing is it. You're right, timing is it. And I do think it's kind of bad timing for Xbox to, if they were to break the news, to break it even now, because there's that question up in the air of, well, what does PlayStation have? Like, what are you got to look at the competitor, and a lot of PlayStation stands are like, well, I don't even know what PlayStation has coming this year. I don't know. And I think the strategy with that is to maybe mid-year bring the news of, okay, we want everyone to play our great games. We know you love Game Pass, and guess what? We have some news. They're coming directly to you. I think that would have landed big if they were able to name exactly when you're going to be able to play certain titles and what titles they are. That would land so much harder than them just saying, oh, we kind of have plans that some game will be coming. And I think that, and maybe it's an error on their part, but I think that's kind of what they were going for.
I will actually counter that just very quickly, because
I was about to counter that too.
Because like Xbox had this.
You're right in a sense.
Xbox had the spotlight. It was 2 episodes ago with the developer direct. You're telling me instead of making it specifically about developer direct, you'd be like, hey, you know what? Here's this, and like, no pun here, but like, here's the state of Xbox. Like, here's what's going on. This is our roadmap and everything, and then here are the games coming out later on this year as well.
No, absolutely not. You don't know what your competitor's coming out with for the year. I think they
but you know what they're coming out with.
No, we know what they're coming out with.
Well, that's what I mean. But you're just talking about like what's their plan.
PlayStation's coming out with, right? And I don't think it's a smart move, comms and marketing side, to release like that big news, because then it could be flipped on the other side. Oh, well, Xbox games aren't good enough to run on an Xbox. Like, it could be flipped either way.
But we don't even know what their news is, though. But like, you see what's going on, and now
doing the thing.
but now their hands are forced to come out next week.
But here's the thing that this is why I love anything that can build like that. You can think about the context of the situation, the bigger picture, like, because we're right now, a lot of us are can't see the forest through the trees, and including like some of the folks who are saying I'm done with Xbox, and the biggest sort of Xbox influencers are being worried. This is not like this is Microsoft we're talking about here. This is not new. This is an old play from their playbook going back as far as the 90s. Think about this. Every single PC that is out there, what does it have on it? What do they all have in common? Windows. Windows has been around for so long. They beat out Apple because they decided, no, you know what? We're not going to get into the hardware game that Apple is doing right now. We want to be able to make sure that our platform, our operating system is available to as many hardware devices as we possibly can. And now they are the dominant the dominant operating system. And you could even say that Apple is the equivalent to basically PlayStation, because look at Apple's products. They're super expensive.
Look at the pricing.
It's not affordable. The price point is like they're super, but everything is a closed ecosystem with them. But you know what? Hey, you could still be able to get Microsoft products on Apple, and it still works. And there's no issues there. So for them to base, and also as well, people are like, oh, what about the hardware? Microsoft still makes computers. They make Microsoft Surface tablets, and they make also laptops. So it's not like that the hardware is going to be going away anytime soon. And people are like, oh, what about my digital library? Where's that going to go? You're going to still have a box to be able to have your Xbox games on. There's still going to be a way for you to be able to access all of your digital library. By them saying that they may not be able to, keep up with sort of the 7 years console like cycle, that just means that that's more money in their pockets that they can be able to use to make more games. That was, to me, I think that's their game plan. The fact that they have over 40 studios working within Xbox they are now making games. When that machine gets churning, we're going to have potentially 3, potentially 4 games from Xbox studios every single quarter, because just the amount of churn that they're basically going to have with all these studios. And so by making it multi-platform just basically means that they're going to be able to play their games everywhere, which is what Xbox wants. They want
That's what they always been saying.
They want people because here's the thing. They said when they asked the exclusivity question, Phil Spencer said that we will have these games will be available on whatever platform Xbox is on, and he didn't say it would be on whatever console we have or whatever specifically even just really Game Pass. He said whatever platform Xbox is on, and that is, I think, that they've been their ultimate goal. Could the things have changed here and there? Could they've been like, yeah, you know what, the console could potentially work if it was sold well, but they've lost essentially 2 generations worth of hardware. Hardware is expensive to be able to make in every sense of the word. No one is ever able to make money off of their consoles unless it's a runaway success. So to them, Microsoft and Xbox is like, you know what? Let's just cut our losses. Let's become like a software company like we used to, and still be able to make the over $3 trillion that they make every single year.
And you know what?
They're fine monetarily.
They're doing fine for money. And I think that's what it is. It's like, maybe that is the future. Like, we see so many PC gamers right now. They want to play on their computers as opposed to consoles. And maybe Xbox is just making that step forward to make that transition and not being too dedicated to kind of old ways of gaming. Because even back when they announced cloud gaming and how they were talking about consulting with PlayStation on their cloud gaming services, this conversation came up of like, oh my God, there's never going to be an Xbox around. It's like, no, maybe, but I don't think that's like the near future thought of it. I still think at least we see another generation of the Xbox. But again, at the end of the day, we don't have any hardcore news. And even if this is the case, I think it could actually bring more competition and level up the quality of games that will be available all over the place.
I think it's going to be a boon for the market. Like even retailers, if Sea of Thieves and Starfield release on PlayStation, like physical software tends to sell more on that platform. Inherently, it's larger.
Xbox not doing any physical, so that's why.
They have Game Pass, so you don't need to. So like it's more of a digital platform already. Whereas absolutely. PlayStation is a general consumer, and Starfield these things are really good for everybody, because everybody starts making money when that happens, and that's really good. So if that's something that if that's the result of this, if it's not a digital only release, then more people are going to have say in how these things go and how it's priced and all of these other factors as well, which is really, I think, could be a great thing.
The only thing I would be like, we would have to watch a little closer to see how, if that's what the news is and that's kind of the future and the direction, how the cuts work for all these different studios, because we already saw with the acquisitions of these 40 plus studios, how that different like how that makes a difference if they're going day one Game Pass as opposed to releasing with a physical copy at launch. So, or like just like across multiple platforms at launch. So I'm curious to how that model was shaped. It may not be a bad thing, but I'm just curious.
I think that's the most interesting aspect of this. I mean, we're far from even like a quantifiable hint that this is even going to be part of the conversation we have next week. Like Phil Spencer's even going to touch on Game Pass versus just bringing legacy games over to PlayStation. I think those are two very different things. But to your point, Camille, I think that if the end goal is, say, Microsoft wants to bring Game Pass to PlayStation, does that cause some sort of like issue with parity? Because just off the top of my head, Xbox does or used to most recently have Plague's Tale, the Requiem, the second game, and PlayStation Plus just had that. So at that point, with third-party partnerships and everything, if Microsoft signs a deal to have, say, Assassin's Creed Valhalla on Game Pass, but then PlayStation is also signing a separate agreement to have it on PlayStation Plus, but Xbox wants to have Game Pass on PlayStation. Like, at what point do we just like start looking at this and we're seeing a spreadsheet of like where you can play your game? To be honest, I'm already trying to like figure out, like, is this a PC Game Pass game? Is this an Xbox game? What has cloud? What has like? It is just
this is totally Charlie and the Wire situation.
Like, is Game Pass across the board, and it's a service that they offer to different platforms? Like, because PlayStation Plus is definitely, it needs work. Is that kind of like what they were consulting with PlayStation when they were launching cloud gaming, or when they were looking into cloud gaming, is to maybe see if Game Pass is maybe something separate than Xbox and it becomes its own entity across multiple platforms?
So I think we're looking a bit down the line. I think right now it's just like we're going to case by case basis release first party software on other platforms. Conversely, this sets them up well to introduce it later. And this is something that has happened with Ubisoft Plus already on PlayStation. It's something that's happened with EA Play. These are gaming services on PlayStation's console, and EA Play was not on PlayStation's console initially, and then they got Ubisoft Plus first. Yeah. So these things will play out in time. But like, it doesn't hurt now to get your software running on PlayStation, to introduce that later on, and then all of your first-party offerings will be available through that service if that's something you choose to do down the line. But right now, they're streamlining everything. They're generating revenue off of individual software sales to help feed Game Pass, which they're growing, and they want to keep growing and building, and their own software that they're creating. So they get to keep making the AAA blockbusters without having to rely solely on Xbox revenue. Now it's like, well, we made $100 million off the PlayStation 5 release of Starfield, so now we can fund this and this and that. Like, I think it's just good business for them to be doing it, and it sets them up very well for the future.
Yeah.
I just I know like a lot of people who like, well, Xbox is my system. They've been with it for day one. Like, they're the ones who are, you know, and like rightfully so. Like, they're the ones who's the most upset, and they're part of the most like making the most outrage on it as well. But like, I've always seen Xbox, like, I thought this acquisition, especially with Bethesda and Activision, was, you know, it's just Microsoft being like, all right, well, we're gonna put on everything else, but we still get piece of the pie as well situation, you know. Like, I really didn't see like the journey they're getting. You know, maybe it is like wrongfully. I do remember the Starfield being like, oh, this is exclusively the goalie run on Xbox type of situation, and I'm like, no, I don't think you should have said that type of thing. But I do feel like I just thought those acquisitions was just for them to be, you know, to put their games elsewhere. And like, it's just it's weird for me because, like, you know, people were worried about, oh, what about Call of Duty? Is it gonna be on Xbox only? And they're like, no, wait. It's gonna be on everywhere. Like, they verbally said that. Look at Ori. Ori was on the Switch. No one complained about that. You know why? The people didn't lose their minds, be like, "What is Ori doing on the Switch?" Like, well, what's going on? Like,
I think the reason, I think part of the issue too is that Xbox is kind of in a very weird position, because like if you talk about like PlayStation games or Nintendo games potentially going on to other platforms, no one would really kind of like bat an eye. But because Xbox's leadership is always super transparent and is always as open to its players as best as possible, there are so many parasocial relationships that have happened because of that they feel like that it's like their best friend betrayed them, and it to a sense. And I think that's kind of like dangerous in a sense, and you're you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. And unfortunately, like I think the Xbox is being transparent is still their biggest strength because that's what how they always been. It guaranteed if this was on the PlayStation side, you're not seeing Jim Ryan basically going to be tweet out saying, you know what, we hear you, we're going to talk about this next week. Like it would have been like they would have kept staying silent about it.
It'd be like, we hear you, too bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You ever imagine Jim Ryan taking a photo with anyone, like with a fan? Like Jim Ryan would be like, "Get away from me!"
Exactly. So
I hear you.
But I think it goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier. Is that because of that transparency, we kind of almost expect where like the Xbox's leadership, including up to Phil Spencer, would have nipped this in the bud early on.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's still corporate comms. It's still like there's still so many. And like if you've ever worked with Microsoft, there's so much red tape that has to get approved in order to be able to say or do anything. Phil alone has his own chief of staff. He has his own staff that just works specifically for him that run all his comms, his schedule, everything, and that still has to be approved by leadership. So, it like agreed. Yes. Yes, it is hard to be able to kind of get a message out there with as transparent as they are, but also in a sense, because of that, that's what nipped them in the bud of being like, you know what, they should have said something sooner. And I think what you're saying earlier, Camille, I think like you're right. They should have said something a long time ago at this point.
Yes.
They should have, as soon as that news, like the rumors were swirling around like really heavily like the past couple weeks, like they should have. And I think because it was also Hi-Fi Rush was the first, like, it's already out, and the rumors are that it's coming this year. Like it's very immediate, and I think that's what's hurtful for the fans. Even though we like to joke about like some of the internet diehards or probably trolls that are really complaining about
Camille,
this.
The word
babies.
But think of it, right? They did invest in a console that still has yet to prove what it really is going to be defined for in this generation of consoles, right? That game is not out yet. That game is not out yet, right? So I think with them hearing, okay, these are recent titles. These are titles that like we're all in the promotion for me buying this console in the first place, and it's coming out within 3 years or 2 years of the console actually being out. I think that is the most hurtful thing for the fans. And again, to my point, that is why I think it was important when these rumors, specifically around Hi-Fi Rush, coming out this year, came out. They should have got on top of it and be like, hey, you know, yes, we hear you. We understand. We have more, and it's going to be exciting for all fans. You know, I think that's
and the time that they should have done it would have been the developer direct. That was their opportunity to basically take control of the conversation.
I agree.
And being like, Rush is coming. Like, and here's the thing. I like as much as I said, it takes so much red tape for Microsoft to be able to approve anything. To prove that they can also be as nimble as possible. 2 examples: the monkey meme when the Xbox Series S was leaked. That was basically done right away.
That was incredible.
Way to go, Stein, on that one. But then also, shout out to Aaron Greenberg, the idea of the Xbox mini fridge that was put together within a week or two. So, and they put it up there. Which, by the way, my Xbox mini fridge actually died just before coming down.
Available at Walmart Canada. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go pick up a new one because now there's 2 fridges that have died on me.
I'm just letting you know, I'm making a trip to Buffalo soon, getting some toasters, bringing it over.
I hope your place doesn't burn down.
But
you smell like toast.
I think the developer direct was that opportunity for them, and that is where I think that they made their biggest mistake. They should have addressed it there and then, and then even saying potentially this will be a case-by-case basis on future games. Even just saying that line, then it would have nipped a lot of this in the bud. People have been upset even now with the whole potential indie and Starfield going to PS5, but at least we would have been like, okay, you know what? They said this. we should like basically we should get with the program and kind of let's like what does this mean for Xbox now, instead of being like, well, we don't know anything because they haven't said anything.
Yeah.
But to that point, I also think that if Phil Spencer comes out next week and is like, it's a case by case basis, that's not good enough.
That's not,
not
good
enough.
This is their final opportunity to, like, we're seeing it on the internet, like fires are burning right now with
the problem.
Like, I don't want no tweet. I want like a video. Like
these are the rules. Like, if you are a Bethesda AAA game, you're going to PlayStation. If you're a Halo multiplayer, you're going. Like, we need to find rules and expectations for the next 5-10 years for Xbox. That way, when we get a Blade trailer and there's no logo at the end, we're like, oh, okay, I understand why. And it's not like we're just left in the dust there.
But for this one, I think he just needs to lay out for this year what games can we expect on other consoles, and then keep it open to like, hey,
we've had 3 years of open.
We need a guideline or something.
Yeah. I would be disappointed as an Xbox owner and fan if Phil Spencer once again came out and was like, yeah, we're just not going to tell you. It's vague and nebulous.
I think he has to say something, but I don't think he has to give the full 5-10 year plan. I don't think this. Well,
and I don't think he can, because I don't think he can reasonably do that. But I do think that you can do a year.
For PlayStation.
Well, you can do a breakdown. Yeah, you could do it. You could do like a light roadmap for sure. You could.
Absolutely.
And I think I think that the problem that a lot of people are having now is that they, again, like we've talked about a few times, but like they knew they were doing this for months, if not up to a year. Like it takes a while to port a game. It's to PlayStation. It's not. This is not. You're not just flipping a switch.
It's like copy and paste. Yeah.
Like it is. They knew they were doing it for a while, and if they wanted to wait post holiday because like, hey, we still got to move hardware. We still want to push Game Pass. Like these games are exclusive this year. Like we want to do that. Okay, fine. But like you got to get it out in January. Because, like, if you don't tell that story as soon as possible, someone else is going to tell it for you, and you've lost the narrative then. That is a huge issue.
Yeah.
And it's run away now. And now you have people who are like, every outlet under the sun's like, oh, they're considering this, they're considering that, which is so non-committal.
Right.
That it's like, well, I don't know, they were just made. And if this is the route, they've considered all of their games. Just point blank, period. Like they've all been considered, obviously.
I mean, there was a working build of Halo.
No, we shouldn't. Okay, cool. Like, that's the extent of it. Like they've all talked about it. So like if you it's everyone can skirt that and say, yeah, they did consider Gears of War at one time. It's like, okay, that's such a nothing burger comment. Like
Fusion Frenzy to the Switch, So
Halo, like that's a conversation that always happens. We need to know what is happening and why. And just like that, they should have gotten out ahead of that so long ago.
They should have teased to something coming. And I think, okay, let's put on our hats. Let's imagine there was not like these recent rumors were swirling
they
around.
Should have been, it should have been a very specific tease, or else people would just run away with that.
Us as industry people, we're probably looking for that. I think regular consumers are just like, yeah, I heard that, but I don't know if Xbox
regular consumers don't care at all.
They don't care at all.
That's why. Imagine.
It's a very small microcosm of the Xbox fan.
Let's go into Dream World. June 2024, where everyone's expecting big news.
Jeff
Xbox
Keighley's
Showcase.
out there? Or
let me finish. Xbox Showcase.
Well, Jeff is there. No, that's all.
My eyes are closed. I'm here.
Xbox Showcase, right?
Okay.
You see Phil. We see a PlayStation logo. We see PlayStation. They're like, hey, guess what? We're coming with Xbox and we're doing something. And no, it would probably happen in a PlayStation showcase. And then you would see Phil Spencer come into the showcase like we've been admiring each other's work for years, building this industry, and now we're coming together. Game Pass. Here we go. I think it would be much more. Okay, I'm not a huge producer on an E3 style show, but what I'm saying, I think it could have been much more impactful to have that news where you have both PlayStation and Xbox involved with announcing that.
I totally feel you, and I think that there is a world out there where that would have gone over very well. I could see it in my mind's eye.
Can I open my eyes now? Can I open my eyes now?
Yeah.
But to your point, Camille, I do think that something like this is so like you have to tread so lightly because of it.
Yeah.
In this perfect scenario, it is a get hype moment. We're unifying all these ecosystems. It's great for everyone. But a lot of people don't see it that way. We're seeing it right now. A lot of people don't see, hey, I can. More people are going to play the games I love as a good thing. You see it every single
this
time.
will help sustain Halo. It's
exactly.
No, Halo.
And this isn't just an Xbox thing. Like when PlayStation puts a game on PC, people get upset. It's there's people feel like their sense of ownership over something is being taken away, which it's really not. So I do feel like even if Xbox and PlayStation were to rally together for this presentation or something, I feel like the messaging again would get away from them. Like I think that this kind of event, not even an event, this kind of discussion where Phil Spencer sits us all down and says, hey, mom and dad are getting a divorce, but you're getting 2 Christmases, everyone.
I'd be like,
that is the best way to break the news. That is the best way to break the news, where it's like, hey, we're going to give you like a
Christmas.
Are
2
they already
Christmases?
doing
Oh my
this?
god.
We have 2 Kojima games coming on 2 different platforms.
That's who they need to bring out.
Yes.
Phil Spencer needs to get Kojima out and be like, listen,
I made
things
it
are
happen. I made it happen. We're uniting the gaming industry. Console
my.
wars?
Listen,
Never
OD is
happened.
going to cost a lot of money. We need more of Xbox players' money. Double dip over in PlayStation land, and everything would be okay.
Well,
man.
regardless, we gotta wait and see what Phil has to say. Hopefully, it's a presentation. I don't want no tweet as well, because then I feel like a lot of people will just. I interpreted it as this. I want no blog post. I want
I feel like it's going to be a blog post, to be honest.
I don't want no Xbox Wire post. It needs to be a video.
At this point, it has to be a video. Like, you have to hear from Phil.
I want him to present a roadmap, like a light roadmap, and just outline the details and what the commitment to the Xbox hardware is.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta do.
Okay.
Right. Well, with that being said, Steve Sailor, what's going on for you for the rest of the week? Besides more dog sitting?
Well, I'm gonna hopefully have my Suicide Squad official accessibility review up by hopefully Friday. We'll see how much I can be able to do from here, from my apartment, or from my sister's. But that's kind of really it for me. That's it. Follow me on socials.
There you go, Steve V.
I'm just hanging out. I'm going to play some Foam Stars this evening. Getting ready for Helldivers as well this week. Man, we're gaming. We're gaming.
We are gaming.
Are you
gaming?
Are you gonna be a pirate as well, or this week?
Oh, Skull and Bones.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
I don't know. I mean, it's starting to pull me in.
Yeah,
Michelle.
right.
They got Michelle Rodriguez.
I'm serious.
They got Michelle Rodriguez in there.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I'm gonna play some games. Today I put out my review for the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Great phone. Great use of AI as well. Galaxy AI is pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. And this is coming from someone who denounces a lot of creative AI software. I was blown away that I was even saying that. The words are coming down my mouth. But you can check that out and follow me
twice
everywhere.
if they're telling you to say that. Blink twice.
Yeah, the gun is just coming out from the shadows. Yeah. Follow me everywhere at Asfikvari.
All right, Riley.
I'm just kind of waiting for maybe a Nintendo Direct, and then maybe some news.
Blink twice if it's next week.
Blink twice if it's on the 8th in 2024.
Confirmed. It's confirmed.
Stare at the camera again for 5 minutes.
I'm assuming.
Well,
maybe
Steve tried to break the news to us.
Yeah.
It's happening February 8th, right? 2023.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So good. You
that was so
posted
good.
that.
That's
I got absolutely bamboozled.
Oh,
This
no.
guy's just...
Man.
Poor
Broke
guy.
a streak of like 2 years where I didn't fall for that bullshit.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. I hate it when that happens.
I almost got pulled into that too, and then it was like I didn't even click because there was the image there with the tweet or with the date, and it even said the date in the tweet itself, but it was the date when it posted. That's when I looked at. I was like, oh, that's last year.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
So
Camille.
I'm looking forward to learning more about the Xbox strategy. Like, I think that's going to be super important how they communicate that. So I trust them to do it well. To be honest, I think they're a very good team over there. So
next week is definitely gonna be interesting with Phil. Maybe Phil will announce it while Nintendo's doing their thing. They're like, perfect opportunity,
and then he shows up in their direct. And
just walks in like Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Game Pass is
hello there, friend. Hello there, neighbor. Yeah.
And then
Takes off his green sweater, puts on a red one.
Then he does the thing. He does the flick.
And the Gears of War and everything. Camille, how about yourself?
Do you happen to like Halo, Mr. Miyamoto?
Check this out. And then that's how it goes. It switches over.
Boom.
Miyamoto goes, wait, the guy from Fortnite?
Yeah.
Starts hitting the gritty. Yeah.
That is an incredible visual. Hitting the gritty.
Hey, you have an AI phone. Make it happen. Make Phil do it.
Yeah, let me go in.
Camille, I'm so sorry, Camille. Go right ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, nothing. I don't expect anything else from Riley. It's so disappointing. Just interrupting me. But anyways, I saw Riley wanted me to leave earlier. I don't know if you guys checked the Discord.
I actually
But Riley's
was.
like,
That's
you
kinda
can't leave
rude.
any sooner. I was like, that's rude. Now I'm going to be late for my next meeting because I want to prove you wrong.
Wow.
All right, keep going.
You showed him.
I showed him. No, this week, honestly, I'm getting ready to go to Rainbow Six Brazil. SI is happening, so it's just prepping for that.
Look
and
what you
then
did, Riley. You got her
next week
out of the
I'm off.
country and everything.
Oh, but I'm still going to be around.
Oh, okay,
I'm still going to be
perfect.
around, Riley. I will be here to annoy you
sure?
every step of the way.
Don't do
I
me
think
any
I make
favors.
a really good wrestling character.
Who, you?
Oh my gosh, give me something, Riley.
No,
Give me
you need
something.
to
Ooh,
sneak
you.
You need to add him O'Reilly in somehow, like O'Reilly dig somehow into the Rainbow Six gig when you're there. You have to, like when you're hosting,
Like
you have to give
a
it.
caw can't cook reference, but for
Yes.
the podcast,
Yeah. Let's start our own.
That'd
Let's
be
start our own.
sick. That would be
That'd be
incredible.
There you go.
It's really hard for me to do that, but I will see you. if
I
can
won't
work out
watch, so
something.
you'll have to clip it and send it to the chat.
You know,
if you
like
want me to see it,
we'll know. We'll know. You just tell us what to look out for, and
Yeah.
we'll know.
Even if you throw up like a subtle
watch
shaka, we'll know. We'll know
No,
that's
I
for
don't
us.
do that.
Even when
I
you're
don't
interviewing
do
a
that.
player, being like,
Right.
you know what, my friend Riley, I know he sucks at this, but it's just like, hey, but you're really good. That's why you're here.
Hey,
I'm
Sniper
I'm
Fourth
a degenerate and hang
16.
loose.
What's your least
Yeah.
favorite name? Riley? Okay, mine too. On to the next. You know?
I'll just make don't be a Riley happen. Don't be a
Don't
Riley.
be a Riley.
Don't be a Riley.
Don't get
Where's the
riled
shirt?
Yeah,
Where's
what
the
I'm talking
shirt?
about.
Don't get riled up.
Don't get
Don't
riled up.
There you
That
go.
is
Yeah,
perfect.
Riled
Riley,
up.
yeah.
You can
Wear it
talk
as a
about it
shirt.
easily,
Where's the
yeah.
shirt? Approve. Oh,
All
there you
right.
go.
Okay, we're
Do
gonna have
it.
to see.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
For me, I don't know. I'm all over the place, just like Stevie playing gaming all day this
yeah,
whole
we're
week.
gaming.
So
Is there like a head nod one? I don't know.
yeah. And we'll see you all next week with some hopefully direct and Phil Spencer news. So we'll see you all next week, everyone. Have a good time.
I was waiting for someone to do a sound effect.
Perfect.
Oh, y'all.
Perfect.